Did you try anything before? Did you work with anybody? Was there any like trick, any hack that you were doing, anything?
That's a good question. I wasn't really working with anybody in particular, but definitely there was lots I was trying, with like trying out different hook structures, trying out different topics. I tried to go a little bit more broad with like, just the type of topics, like you're not gonna make money if you do this, or like women that, or just a whole bunch of random crap. Kind of just had shotgun approach, was just shooting at things randomly. It wasn't AI focused like it is now.
Yo, what's good, dude? Everyone watching, this is Sean. We are just doing a little recording here. Sean, introduce yourself, bro.
Yeah, some of you might know me as Zoro the Wiz. If you know me, you've probably seen my Instagram content or seen me somewhere on Twitter. But yeah, if you want to check out my Instagram, Zoro the Wiz, and yeah, you can find me everywhere. So
Little plug right there.
yeah,
Um, but we actually have been working with Sean, aka Zorro, for a little bit. He joined Launch Socials back in May of 2023. Now it's November. And
sir.
we're gonna do a little Q&A here, just talk about his experience, what he's done with us, what he's doing, what we actually just talked about with his offer, and what that looks like. So I want to jump into it.
100%.
Just ask, the first question is like,
Let's do it.
where was your brand at? Where was the product at? What were you doing when you first came to us and you talked with one of our representatives?
Yes, that's a really good question. I had been creating content for quite a while, probably a little over a year at that point. So definitely was pretty consistent with it, had our ups and downs, but overall, I wasn't really seeing results with the content. Like it wasn't really going anywhere. And same thing with my offer. I wasn't really clear on what exactly it was that I wanted to do. At that time, we were kind of running like a freelance marketing operation within the Web3 space, but it wasn't anything super big or spectacular. Just kind of that was where our domain was. So that's where we started, super unclear, not really seeing any results before I talked to you guys.
And how many
So
followers you have? Because your Instagram's been the main platform since then. Now YouTube, but
yeah.
how many followers? What does that look like?
I think I had 1,000 followers, and it's really funny because I had 200 before that, but I wanted to have 1,000, so I actually bought 800 followers. And then I think my content started moving a little bit. I was able to get up to about 3K, and then I kind of plateaued again beforehand. I think that's where I was at for sure.
Got it. Did you try anything before? Did you work with anybody? Was there any like trick, any hack that you were doing? Anything?
That's a good question. I wasn't really working with anybody in particular. But definitely there was lots I was trying, with like trying out different hook structures, trying out different topics. I tried to go a little bit more broad with like, just the type of topics, like you're not gonna make money if you do this, or like women that, or just a whole bunch of random crap. Kind of just had shotgun approach, was just shooting at things randomly. It wasn't AI focused like it is now.
For sure. And
Yeah.
what do you think has been the biggest change? Because obviously you and I haven't talked all that much. You talked with
Mhm.
our guys, Joe and Reese, for anyone watching, our content strategists on the inside.
Yeah.
You talked with a couple other people, and
Mhm.
obviously you started to grow really fast after. Was that growth a direct result of some of the stuff you had talked about? Did you just get your content outline and you're like, boom, like I'm gonna start implementing some of this? What does that look like? What was the biggest change there? What was the biggest thing that like led to that growth?
That's a really good question. And I think it came with onboarding with you guys, just getting a little bit of clarity on the direction of my content. I think it was Reese who took a massive overview of all my content, all, my entire structure, and he built me an entire content SOP that allowed me to kind of, identify what I wanted to talk about, top of funnel, middle of funnel, how I should be structuring my social media account. And once I kind of was a little more clear on the content topics, because I think that's something that people struggle with a lot. Once I was a little more clear on what exactly it was that I wanted to talk about, that's when I started seeing, results, started seeing things kind of move a little bit. You know what I mean? So I think that was like the biggest change for me was that onboarding, like that massive document, because I still use it to this day.
Oh, incredible. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's fire. It's fire.
And also, let's give a shout out to your editor. Your editor's fire. We actually love his approach so much that we kind of like took some of the style too for some of
Yes, sir. My man Wade Dant. He's an
it.
absolute monster.
Yeah, he's crushing it. And let me ask you this: like, where are you currently at? Like, you and I talked about this before. We were talking about the offer, and I think a lot of something that I want to mention just here, like anyone watching this, we talk about content all the time. A lot of our testimonial videos are about content and stuff like that, but we don't just do content. There's
Mhm.
offers, there's sales, there's all business systems, there's the back end, everything kind of combined. And something that you and I were just talking about before this is you're kind of unhappy with the money situation right now. Not that
Yeah,
it's bad, but it's like not where you want to be. You got 100K followers, but you're not at 6 figures a month, that type of thing. And we just
100%.
went through the offer. So I want you to talk about like where you're currently at, what we just talked about, and like maybe what the future holds, what's next, like what are the next steps?
Yeah, so I think you definitely gave me a lot of clarity on what I was already kind of thinking about. Obviously, for those who know, it doesn't take much research to know I focus on AI. And when we first, started running this offer and everything like that, AI was kind of the whole selling point. But it's easy to forget that the technology is still so new that most people, when you say AI, it's like it doesn't even, compute in their brains. You have to keep in mind that most businesses, like 80% of businesses, don't even have cold email systems set up, right? So, we were running around offering AI and automations to any business, but it's super unclear as to the value of that for a specific business, where exactly it fits in for them. And it ends up being more friction. Of course, it would help later down the line if we're able to implement it, but it ends up creating more friction for the customer, even if it's something that's free. And we know that Alex Hormozy talks about that. It's like, even if it's free, if it's hard to do or they don't really understand it, it's not going to land. So you and I just talked about, kind of changing the positioning of that a little bit. And it's something that I fully agree with, more so to, operations with AI and automations, just kind of as the mechanism we use to improve that. Obviously, I talked to you, we're working with a 7-figure agency right now. We just completely redid their client success department, took one task that they were doing weekly, 65 hours a week, basically turned it to nothing. So obviously that, makes a massive impact on a business, and these bigger businesses that need those kinds of things, I think it'd be easier to approach them talking about operations and how we can streamline that rather than just throwing, AI into their face because it's an instant shutdown. It's a buzzword.
100%. And for you also, I want to make another point, and for anyone watching, I think the biggest thing there is content clarity is amazing. It's great to have content clarity,
Yeah,
but if we're just talking about the content side of things and the offer isn't aligned, it just
doesn't mix.
doesn't work. And then
Yeah,
you even talked about how maybe some of like the sales you're making are a little bit spotty, or it's like one-off
yeah,
projects there. And so for you, the next thing after we get this offer in place is to put a sales process into place. What are our numbers? What are our tracking things? We're going to put all that into place with you and set
yeah,
it up with you. So for anyone watching and not understanding that it's not just content, it is all of these pieces. And also for you, we have to implement it. We're
100%.
gonna talk about it after too. I want to talk about
I
that.
Yeah, that's fine. I fully agree.
Cool,
Yeah.
cool, cool. So last question I have is like maybe if there's something that could be different about what we do and the relationship that we have together with Launch Socials and our product and our program and our system, what do you think that would be?
Honestly, I think you guys are absolutely nailing it. Like everything is super simple to go through. I think my biggest like piece of advice to anybody who is thinking of joining Launch Socials or any other, high ticket program is focusing more so on the community aspect and asking questions and actually implementing things from those questions, going to the calls. Like you hear it all the time. And it's like, then you join, you're like, yeah, I don't really feel like going to the call, or like, I can figure this out myself. But I would be 3 times like more ahead than I am now if I just asked questions, gone to the calls and actually implemented the advice that I was given. So that's incredibly important. Otherwise, I think you guys are doing phenomenal. Whenever I don't respond, you're like, tagging me, checking up on me, like, hey, where's this at? Your accountability is great. So you guys are doing phenomenal.
Appreciate it a lot, bro.
Mhm.
Any last things that you want to add on this video?
Um, Join Launch Socials. That's it.
I appreciate it. Thank
Yeah,
you.
anytime, brother.